Hi everyone, this week we've got Richard Price on the show. We're going to be talking about what is an open API and the benefits of third-party integrations. Richard, before we do anything, can you just give us a quick introduction as to who you are and what you've been up to, please?
Surely, thank you very much for inviting me today, and it's great
No
to see you
problem.
again after the Esters where we met briefly last time.
Yep, we sure
Um,
did.
which was a great event, and well done to everyone who won an award at that event. So it was great to see everyone, and yeah, really good fun. I've been the MD of Dezrez for the last 3 years. I've been with Dezrez for actually 5 years, and prior to that, I was a business consultant, worked for many big organisations across the UK and some in North America as well. So I got the ability to work with some brilliant companies who had the ability to use IT to improve the way they worked, create efficiencies, create opportunities. And I think that's the beauty about working with Dezrez is I'm now able to bring all of that learning, all of that
Mhm.
experience to Dezrez and to our product Resi. And we've built a very flexible, open platform that enables us to continue that work and to help agents generate opportunities and solve problems. So essentially, it's great to be able to do this and continue that work, really.
No, that's great. That's great. And it leads quite nicely into, some of the points I want to talk about, especially around the sort of open API stuff. So what does an open API, actually mean for an agent? Why is it so powerful? And I'd like to, hand over to you for that.
Sure, sure. I mean, that's a brilliant question because I think when we actually started out on this journey, we built Resi 7 years ago, and when we
Mhm.
said to people, we've got an API, and they were like, great, what does an API do? And we said it can do anything, and people were like, well, give me some specifics, and so I think that was the key thing. We were like, right, we've really got to start helping people understand what they can do with this
Mhm.
amazing bit of technology.
Yep.
So basically, an API stands for Application Programming Interface, but you don't need to know that. All you need to know is that it means that you can get two bits of software and connect them together. And you can do that
Okay.
really easy and quickly with an API. So you've got one bit of software with an API and another bit of software with an API, and you can join them really easily together. And that's really all you need to know. But it is something that you have to build into your software to start with. You can't. It's very difficult to build it in later.
Mhm.
So if you've got an older piece of software and you try to build it in, it's hard. So we took the decision to start again. We saw the market was going in this direction where everyone wanted to connect everything up together, which is rightly so. Obviously, you invest in lots of bits of software, so you want to be able to make the most of that. So yes, absolutely, that's what we did. We built from the ground up with an API to start with.
Mhm.
Um, and but it's not just all about APIs. There's something else called webhooks, right? Which
Yep.
sounds a bit like a left-handed hammer, doesn't it? But it is a real thing. And what we built those
Okay.
into our system as well. So along with APIs, what it enables you to do, once you've connected up a piece of software to another piece of software, you can listen for an event, and a webhook lets you do that. So,
Okay.
for example, when a property completes in Resi in our software, that can trigger an email being sent out to the client with an attached invoice from Zero,
Mhm.
which is accounting software, and it can also then post that information to Facebook. It can also put a watermark of your estate agent on that Facebook post, and it can do all that automatically just with the fact that that property is completed in Resi. So it all happens in the background, and you look amazing because as soon as property completes, all that information happens, and the customer gets great customer service. So it's like having a really powerful a workflow engine. So that's
Okay.
really kind of what we've been able to build with the API and webhooks together. And also when a new piece of software comes on the market, or there's a piece of software that everyone loves, like Sprift,
Mhm.
and what three words? We were the first CRM in the property industry in the world to integrate with what three words, and that basically helps agents get exact locations for things. Does away with postcodes. You can use a three-word link for a particular location, like the back door or a parking space, or where the bins are, or where the board should be placed. So it's really cool, little bit of
Yeah.
software.
Yeah.
But we did that really quickly, and that's
Okay.
because we both had APIs. We spoke to what three words. They were like, "Oh, we've got an open API, so have we. Let's make beautiful music together." And so we did that over a weekend. So I mean, it's really as quick as that when you get the right businesses working together.
And with the open API and the webhooks, so essentially what you can do is webhooks help you with workflows.
Yep.
Um, So I assume that you've worked with agents on that kind of stuff for what they'd need. And is
Yeah.
is it kind of like a workflow already built from, or is it bespoke? How does it work?
So we've got some workflows that we've already built, but what we've done is we connected up to something called Zapier, right?
Hmm.
And Zapier is basically a massive group of all the applications you can imagine that have open APIs, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all your social media platforms on there, all your accounting packages like Zero are on there. You've got things like HubSpot, Mailchimp. Basically go onto Zapier.com and have a look. You can see there's
Okay.
hundreds of apps on there. So if it's on there, we can connect to it. So we've connected to Zapier, and so we've created these workflows that happen, at a point in the process. So we've created a two-way text messaging system through that. So essentially, you can communicate directly with the client to say, are you still going to come to a viewing? If they respond no, that information comes back into Resi. You can then ask them why. They can give you information. You can rebook through that. So
That's
it's
awesome.
yeah. So it's amazing. And it's like I said at the start of the interview. I really love the ability to be able to solve problems for clients and create new opportunities because you're making that efficient process for customers and giving them great customer service. So, it's brilliant to have those tools really in our arsenal, I suppose.
I think it is powerful, the open API stuff with what you're doing with the integrations and how you can work with other suppliers. I
Mhm.
really like the webhooks and the workflows. I'm quite a fan of being able to enhance what you're doing, but
Yeah,
whilst keeping up your levels of activity,
yeah,
enhancing, not replacing, that kind of stuff. I think that's pretty big
yeah.
for how the world's moving.
Yeah,
Um,
you're absolutely right. That's the key thing. The software should be there to enhance what you do. It's a people business at the end of the day, isn't it?
yep,
Still, you're still going to
it
want to
is.
go and talk to people, and meet them because that's selling property is all about. But you should be able to, in the background, be able to use the technology to enhance that service with,
Mm,
triggers and things happening during that process, which gives you better customer service.
yep, it is. And with your mission statement being to connect the property world,
Mhm.
I think that kind of leads all into that, doesn't it? With connecting it through what you're doing with the mission statement, with the open APIs, with the workflows, and I just think that that's a great way to kind of bring it all together.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything else you're doing that allows that sort of connectivity, or are they the main sort of sources really?
Yeah, they're the main things, but I think what it gives you the ability to do is to future-proof your business because in with an older piece of software, if a new bit of software comes on the market, like Spriff, for example, or Akaboom's a good example, because they do lovely presentations for your vendors, and they're all sent out, and you can look at all the stats of whether the vendors open the presentation and how
Mhm.
engaged they are,
Yep,
and you can react to that. If you've got a piece of software that isn't integrated with that, you've got to keep going into Akaboom, find that information, check it all.
yep,
Whereas if it's in your CRM, you get a notification straight in. Oh, Mr. Jones at 25 Cashel Avenue has opened the presentation. They're obviously hot at the moment. They're interested, so send them an email, give them a
mm,
call, whatever it might be. So it means you're future proofing because something else new will come on the market. We don't
yep,
know what's coming next, but there's going to be something great. Who knows, like I wrote a piece actually about autonomous vehicles and how one day you'll be able to just get a cab turn up outside your house. There'll be no driver. You'll just jump in.
yep,
Maybe
100%.
maybe you could do that through in the future. You will be able to do this through Resi. You'll be able to go right. I've got a viewing for Mr.
That's a
Smith.
bold statement there, sir.
100%, this is happening. It's happening. So you'll be able to order your Uber, whatever it is, driverless Uber through Resi, or go and pick up your applicant, drive them to the vendor's property, and you can cut down all those things. So I think there's going to be that sort of thing's going to happen. 100%. You heard it
Yeah.
here first.
I agree with you. I do. I think that that's the way the world's moving, I know we've gone completely off topic
Yeah,
from
it's fine.
property, but it is, it's all about where I always think what's best for the end user, whether it's me, whoever it is, whoever's the best for the end user is the way that the world will move, and
Yeah.
that
Oh, absolutely.
process
Yeah.
is what will take charge because it's best for the end user, which is what the end user wants, which will pay money for, right?
Sure.
So that that's probably the ways we should tick off the open APIs, which is orderless Ubers, driverless. Let's go with that. Let's go with those words. They don't even make sense,
Yeah.
but let's go with it. So the last question I got for you is I want to ask you if you want to share anything else that you think agents could benefit from. It could literally be anything. It doesn't have to be open API and webhooks and automation. Anything else that you want to
Yeah.
share.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, the market is obviously going to become tighter than it has been. It's been an unbelievable market for the last
Yeah.
12 months, hasn't it? And
Yeah.
but things are going to change, aren't they? And I think agents really need to use this time to look at the software they're using and look at whether it's doing the job that they want it to do. I believe agents need to be memorable to their
Yep.
clients. They need to be always available, and they need to make the most of all revenue opportunities that present themselves, particularly if the market becomes tighter, right? So, and I think there's a couple of things behind that. So data is key. I do believe that agents have all this data, and quite often they don't know what to do with it. And
Mhm.
you can do some really simple things with it, which I'll talk about in a sec. Having a customer portal means you're always available, which I think
Yep.
is absolutely essential. And connectivity, as we've already talked about, it gives you that ability to generate revenue from lots of different
Mhm.
places. So, for example, we've connected up our legal service, so you can get a referral fee if you send an instruction to us and it completes. So there's another revenue opportunity there. We're working with Credus and GoTo to do a similar thing for AML checks and for mortgages. So there's all these opportunities, and that can be done right in your CRM, so it's right in front of your
Mhm.
negotiators all the time. So being able to do that with integrated software is really important going forward. And I just said then about customer portal. We've got something called Resi Anytime, which basically means that the customer, vendor, landlord, tenant, or buyer can go onto the portal and get access to all their property sale or purchase 24/7. Can see all feedback, all those
Mhm.
things when they've got viewings coming up. Absolutely essential now. It's expected, right? So everyone
Yep.
thinks that.
100%.
And um, and I was just looking at before the call about things on Zapier that would be quite cool to make you memorable. So there's this app. I'd never heard it before. That's the amazing thing about Zapier. You can look on there and go, right, I'll find something. What happens if I want to send a client a card at the end of something? So I looked for card, and I found this company called Tango Card. Never heard of them, right? But they send reward cards to your customers. So they
Yeah.
could send like an Amazon voucher to your customer. So it's absolutely possible in Resi to go, okay, when a property completes, 3 weeks later, send an Amazon voucher for £10 to the buyer, saying, how's going? Hope everything was smooth. Thanks everyone from Richard Price Estates. And I think
That's
and
incredible.
again, yeah, it's really cool, right? And you don't have to do anything for that. It just happens because you completed that property, and you've set everything else up in the background. So I think that those are the three areas really, and doing what you can with data. But you don't, with data, you don't really need to have that set up. You could do it yourself. You could say, right, let's filter my list of clients and see who we completed 3 weeks ago. It's a bit more time consuming, but you can still do that, right?
Yeah.
But a couple of sort of takeaways then, I guess, or things to end on. At the moment, we're in what's called at the midst of a no code revolution. So Zapier and things like that, all the coding has been done in the background, and all you
Yep.
essentially do is pick up blocks of information, and you put all those blocks together, and you can create a workflow. So with Zapier and Resi, you can be a developer yourself without having any development knowledge. You can go in there, go into Zapier, pick up things, and do it with a bit of help from us. Obviously, we're always here to
Yep.
help. So that's really an essential thing that agents should understand and start learning about. It's a great interesting thing if you're techie, or if you're that way inclined, I guess. But I
So,
think
so
you,
it's essentially that they could look in some stuff that they think's really awesome that they can enhance their business,
yeah,
that and then add that part of what you do with the team helping if needed, and then they
yeah,
could pick up something that they weren't doing before through the open API through Zapier, and
yeah,
then they're away with what they need to do. I think that's really
yeah.
really awesome.
And you can make it bespoke to yourself, because you're doing that for yourself. We're not sharing that with any other agents. You're doing that one for yourself. So I think it gives you a bit of differentiation as well over
Yeah.
potentially your competitors and those things. So, but I think, for me, the final thing on this is, you need to have the software that enables you to do that, and you need to make a change now. If your software isn't doing what you want it to do, it's a legacy piece of software that's built 20 years ago, you need to be looking at new software, and it's easier now to move than ever before. So really don't let your legacy hold you back, is what I'd say.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on. Don't let your legacy hold you back. And Richard, it's been fantastic speaking with you. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you for your time.
Thanks, Lee.